All right, today we are driving a BMW M3. This is actually my dad's car, and he's owned it for really not that much time, so we're gonna be a little bit gentle with it, but I gotta have some fun. This is a 2009 BMW M3, AKA the E92 generation. What's really cool about these is the engine. The E92 M3 actually got a V8, it's a 4-liter, and it's a pretty legendary engine. It revs very high, sounds amazing. It's a very, very special car, especially when you consider what modern BMW is leaning towards, which are, you know, smaller engines. And to be honest, the driving experience is a little bit muted. But man, these older BMWs are absolutely sick. I'm gonna show you around and then we're gonna go take it for a spin. This silver color is actually really great. To be honest, I think this is a very classic BMW color. It's understated, it doesn't stick out too much. I think that's a lot of what, you know, my dad, for example, is really into. These wheels are also sweet. They actually have drilled rotors, which is pretty cool. Gives it a nice little look, helps with cooling. Overall, I think the wheels on BMWs have always been really special. And I actually really like these. We've got the classic kidneys up front. These ones are not as big as the modern BMWs, but they look good. Nice cool vents. I think, yeah, this is a very classic looking BMW. The new ones are getting a little bit too big, but hey, that's just my opinion. We've got some small hood vents here, as well as kind of a hood protrusion, because this engine actually does need it. This is a big engine. Another cool touch that I like are these mirrors. They have a nice little pass-through, aerodynamics I'm assuming, just makes it a little bit more unique. Moving around to the rear of the car, we have a carbon fiber spoiler. It's a nice little subtle finish, nothing too crazy, nothing too big. And I think it just makes it just looking a little bit more sporty, a little nicer. It's got a fairly nice looking exhaust, 4 tips in the rear. That looks really cool. Classic M3 badge right there. Love to see it. And overall, I think that this car, it's 2009, right? So it's over 10 years old. Man, it still looks very good. I think these are going to continue to look timeless for honestly ever. I don't see this car ever going out of style. And it's funny, my dad actually wanted a sedan, but he settled for a coupe. And honestly, I think the coupes look fantastic. I can see why he would want a sedan just for practicality, but I don't know, these coupes look pretty good to me. Opening up the door, we're greeted with a fairly classic BMW interior. If you've ever sat in a BMW, this is going to feel very similar. Most of the materials that you touch are all nice and soft touch, decent quality. It is a little bit older, so you know, when you go into the center console, there are some, you know, cheaper plastics, but for the most part, it's a very nice place to sit. It also has some interesting little quirks. Call me Doug. This little door card actually kind of moves in and out, which is really, honestly, kind of a good system, because I, for one, hate having like a door card, especially with things rattling around. So to be able to kind of like shove it away is kind of cool. You got some really good looking pedals down below. These seats, while they are not the most aggressive things in the world, they are incredibly comfy, right? On the racetrack, yeah, you'll be fine. You'll have to kind of brace yourself a little bit, but this is a daily driver for a lot of BMW owners. The steering wheel is a great size. It definitely has very heavy steering. You have your audio controls on this side. On the right side, you have your M button, which is your customizable mode. On the inside, you have a very complex cup holder mechanism. I'm sure that these things probably break all the time, if I had to guess. We have a manual transmission, and honestly, it's fantastic. It's definitely an interesting feeling. It's very springy to get into gear. It kind of like, when you hit a certain point, it kind of just pushes itself into gear. So it's a little bit, it takes a little bit getting used to. You have your power button, which is basically sport mode, gives it a little bit more throttle response. EDC and traction control off. Down here you have your knobby-do to control the actual head unit, all the audio controls, all the settings. You got some nice gauges here. This car does rev up quite a bit. That's kind of a beauty of this engine. this older BMW engine. It sounds amazing all the way at high RPM. I was unfortunately instructed that I should not rev it out that much because it hasn't had an oil change yet since my dad bought it. So we're gonna give it a little bit of beans, but nothing crazy. We're not gonna drive it like my Honda. Back seat room is decent. This is based off a sedan, so you do have a fair bit of back seat room. However, it is a coupe, so it's a little bit tough to get in and out of. Not too bad though. In the back seat, it's fairly comfortable. Looking in the storage space, it's actually fairly decent in all honesty. It's nothing like an SUV or anything like that, but you can fit a good amount of stuff. Got all my camera equipment and plenty of room. So honestly, pretty decent. Don't mind me having to hold the hood up. I think the struts are starting to fail. That's okay. This is what makes, in my opinion, this car so special. A big ol' 4-liter V8. Pretty amazing engine. I think honestly the numbers are around like 420 horsepower to the crank. I'm not exactly sure what these things make to the wheels, but it's a very well designed engine and it sounds amazing. It feels amazing. Definitely a very, very good time. So let's go take it for a quick drive and have some fun with it. To start the BMW up, you have to put the key in position and then start it up. Kind of an interesting system for sure. You also have these seat belts that extend out because you're in a BMW and this is a luxurious car, obviously. These only work maybe 75% of the time. So what is the clutch like? You know, honestly, it's very springy. There's definitely this point in the clutch when you're pushing it down where you feel the spring kind of activate. Not necessarily a bad thing, it just takes a little bit of getting used to. To be honest, it's a very easy car to drive. I hopped in it, no issues, and haven't installed it yet. We'll go ahead and put the car into M mode. Throttle feels a little bit better, car stiffens up. One thing I really like is this actual steering wheel. It's just a good size. It's a good kind of width, girth, if you will. And it feels really good. Coming from a Honda with a steering wheel that probably costs like $5 to produce, this feels way nicer. Rev matching is a little bit interesting. The gas doesn't, or the RPMs I should say, doesn't really shoot up very quickly. You have to really kind of be in the throttle for a bit in order to get it to jump up all the way to the next gear. Pedal placement itself is pretty good though, I will say. It's a really good sounding car, that's for sure. Second gear is a little bit grindy, a little notchy. Yeah, car just feels so healthy. It's got a good feeling of torque. I forget what the exact number is. I thought it was high 200s. I could be completely off, but it definitely feels very healthy. The ride, even in, you know, kind of the more aggressive setting, is still really comfortable. At the end of the day, this is a BMW. It's not, you know, some insane track monster focused vehicle. It still feels pretty compliant over bumps, even in the stiffest mode. And if you do just want to kind of cruise, you can soften the suspension up. It feels nice. I do feel like there is a lot of driveline shock when kind of shifting just quickly. I don't know. It's an interesting feeling. It's nothing like crazy. It isn't, you know, it's not a huge complaint. It's just something that I'm kind of noticing. Like when you shift kind of fast, there's a little bit of a clunk. Maybe that's this car's age, I'm not exactly sure. I mean, this thing is like, to be honest, it's basically new. It has 28,000 miles. So it's definitely not, you know, some abused vehicle. This car is just very supple and quiet. And then, you know, if you want, you can give it a couple downshifts and you hear this amazing 8-cylinder engine. I'm being such a good son by not revving this thing out, but man, is it hard. I really want to just bang off the red line, but I'm being nice. I'm being nice. Oh, this thing is sweet. Honestly, is this changing my mind on BMWs? I mean, this is something that I kind of assumed it would feel like this and feel just incredibly confident and just a nice, gentle cruiser that also is fast. But this is kind of, I don't know, it's even better than I thought it would be, honestly. Maybe one day I can see like a 135, maybe in my future, who knows. I definitely do like those cars. Those are good looking cars for sure. But we'll have to see the long-term review on this one. Maybe maybe the engine explodes. I know there's some sort of issue with this engine that you have to do as basically preventative maintenance. I'll put it maybe on screen here. My dad's planning on doing that. I think my brother and I were planning to maybe do it ourselves and help him out. I definitely don't have the qualifications to be breaking apart a BMW engine, but you know, my brother and my dad, they're pretty good at that stuff, so who knows, maybe we'll do it ourselves, maybe we'll take it to a shop. Not entirely sure. I can only imagine what this car with an exhaust would sound like. It would be amazing. I am going to bully my father into at least putting some sort of exhaust on, because I just think it's a lost opportunity. This thing already sounds really good stock. I can only imagine what this thing would actually sound like with a catback or maybe headers. Who knows? It would be too good to pass up. You have to do it. Feels like first gear is actually fairly short. This guy also just ran a massive red light. It's okay, I guess. Yeah, man, there's a lot of driveline shock. It feels kind of I don't know. It's a little whack. I feel like my crappy shitbox Honda has substantially less driveline shock than this. And I know front-wheel drive cars typically do have less shock, but I don't know, I gotta dock it a little bit. It's kind of meh. Body control does feel really good though. Obviously, I'm not gonna push it anything crazy, right? I don't want to crash my dad's brand new car that he worked years to afford. But oh, I can only imagine ripping this car around a racetrack. It'd be really sweet. But all right, that's gonna do it for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed this. I had a lot of fun making this. I want to do more of these kind of videos. I want to make videos about other people's cars. I feel like I'm kind of getting a little bit bored of just filming myself and my brother. It would be really fun to switch it up and film a bunch of random cars. If you live around the Detroit metro area, let me know. I'll drive out to you, make a video. It'll be a lot of fun. That's gonna do it for today. Thank you so much for watching. If you liked the video, give it a like. If you want to see more, subscribe. See ya.